Today we will talk about the Great Siege of Malta and the Knights of St. John.
Christina, who exactly are the Knights of St. John and why did they come to Malta?
The Order of St. John started in Jerusalem as a small hospital for pilgrims. They slowly gained military skill and soon became a crusading force. But the knights were forced to leave the Holy Land. After that they resided in Cyprus, but due to the circumstances they were shortly forced out of Cyprus.
Oh yes, and in 1524 they were offered the Maltese Islands by Charles V. But they saw many disadvantages in the Maltese Islands and made diplomatic efforts in order to find alternative accommodation.
Disadvantages? What were the disadvantages?
Well, since Malta is an island, food would have to be imported. The fortifications back then were considered old and in bad condition. Also, the population of Malta was not large enough to provide the necessary military defense. This is Fort San Angelo, where the Grand Master housed himself. This fort was built centuries before the arrival of the order, and back then it was considered as a strong fortification. But due to the developments in the artillery, the fort had become vulnerable. Yet, in order for Malta to become a secure base, significant modifications had to be made.
The town of Birgu was surrounded by water on all three sides and was overlooked by the Scabrous Peninsula, which is now Valletta. This made things even worse in terms of defense.
The order needed full control over the Scabrous Peninsula. This would grant control over the Grand Harbor.
After the devastating events of 1551, the order was moved from Birgu to the peninsula since it was on higher grounds and provided more control over the land and harbor.
And this is when Fort San Elmo was built, a star-shaped fortification at the tip of the peninsula. Also, Fort St. Michael was built right next to Fort San Angelo.
In 1560, rumors were spread that Malta will once again be a target for the Turks.
The order began to strengthen the already existing forts and fortifying the nearby towns.
Why did Turks decided to attack St. Elmo?
Because gaining control over the peninsula would give them the opportunity to attack all the major positions.
Is it true that the order was sent reinforcement from Don Garcia from Sicily?
That is true, but the Turks were also sent some 2,500 men. During this time, both sides had their successes and losses. Twice the Turks were on the point of victory, yet more people were sent over from Sicily who began to attack the Turkish base at Marsa. A retreat was called. Also, the soldiers from Dina came down to the Turkish camp, killing the wounded and burning the supplies.
On 8 August, the Turks should have won the siege, but major setback held them back. They attacked it again and again, and each time they were more disappointed and lost their spirit.
On 6 September, more relief forces sent by Don Garcia landed in Melilla. Although they were supposed to come earlier, they were set back by a storm. The Turks were weak and dispirited, and they withdrew. The siege was over.
But it is not the end of the dramatic events that took place at that time.
So, how many Turks were in Malta during the siege?
Oh, it's a difficult question. Many statistics say different things. Some say there was 30,000 men, and some say that it was impossible to bring them all to the Malta. Some say that it was 15,000.
As for Malta, apparently it had some 9,000 men-at-arms. Out of this number, 5,000 were Maltese. Maltese women also played an important role. They helped with the food and helped rebuild walls and aided the wounded.
The Turks should have won. It is only the courage of the Maltese and their strength of heart, and the Turks were found back. This was important battle in European history.
But even if Malta fell, this would not have been the end of the Order of St. John. Malta was only part of a large organization deeply rooted all over Europe.
For Malta, this was a foundation year of her modern history. As for the order, it stayed in Malta. Towns and palaces were built. The Maltese prospered.
It was impossible to make it shorter, since so much important detail shouldn't be neglected. Thank you for your attention.
See you.
Bye-bye.